Welcome back. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas reportedly now considering restarting construction of the southern border wall in order to fill in the gaps, they say, amid the growing migrant influx. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki spoke yesterday on the current state of the border wall construction. Here's what she said.
Wall construction remains paused to the extent permitted by law. When the administration took office, as you referenced, funds had been diverted from congressionally appropriated military construction projects and other appropriated purposes toward building the wall. And wall construction was being challenged in multiple lawsuits. Under those circumstances, federal agencies are continuing to review wall contracts and develop a plan to submit to the president soon. There is some limited construction that has been funded and allocated for, but it is otherwise paused.
Joining me right now is former acting DHS Secretary and a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation, Chad Wolf. Chad, it's great to have you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. Do you think we are hearing a mea culpa out of the Biden administration on the border wall?
Well, I believe we are. Obviously, President Biden has indicated on several occasions that there will be no new wall construction. And I think what you heard from the White House press secretary just there is a nuance for perhaps certain sections of the wall that have already been funded. So I think there's a number of things going on here, Maria. The men and women of CBP and the Border Patrol are pleading with DHS leadership in the White House to finish sections of that border wall system. They know how effective it is. They know they needed to do their job. And so I think the administration is getting an immense amount of pressure from their law enforcement officers, the men and women on the ground doing the job every day to finish sections of that border wall.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it every day since, but you know, as I know and our viewers know, that Joe Biden came in on day one and day two and said we're stopping the construction of the border wall. That was one of his first priorities. Assess where we are. Where are the gaps? How significant are the gaps? What was paid for? Was it just all paid for sitting on the ground and they stopped construction? Tell us where we are with this wall.
So when we left on Inauguration Day, we had about 454 miles of border wall system constructed in the ground and effective. We had another 100 to 150 paid for. We had a number of those miles under contract, and that work was beginning in certain sections of the country. That's not only in Arizona, but also in RGV, which is obviously ground zero for the crisis and the surge that we're seeing today. So it's critically important that we build border wall systems there in Texas. And those are the areas that President Biden stopped construction on. And so there were certain areas and certain sections that you would have a mile to 2 miles in place, and then you would have a mile or two of gaps. And so the construction crews were working real time 24/7 to get that border wall constructed, and they need to continue to do so.
All right, stay with us, Chad. We want to talk more about this. So there's all of this wall that has gaps. We're going to continue our conversation with Chad Wolf when we come right back. Stay with us. Welcome back, and I am back with former acting Department of Homeland Security Secretary and Heritage Foundation visiting fellow Chad Wolf. And Chad, I just want to point out that this exclusive report is from the Washington Times reporter who said that in a conversation with Alejandro Mayorkas, he said in a conversation with ICE employees last week, Mr. Mayorkas was asked about his plans for the wall and said that while Mr. Biden has canceled the border emergency and halted Pentagon money flowing into the wall, that leaves room to make decisions on finishing some gaps in the wall. And you just told us a moment ago those gaps are in the Rio Grande Valley as well as in Arizona. I want you to talk to us about what's taken place in these areas, because the website for the Department of Homeland Security removed a press release that was put out earlier this week. That release announced the arrests of suspected terrorists at the southern border. Chad, the link to the release now goes to a page telling users access denied. So first they reported that terrorists were apprehended, and then they removed it. Your thoughts on what is taking place at this wall and why you think maybe this administration is having a mea culpa? We should point out they haven't confirmed that they're going to resume production of that wall.
So I think it's important to remember that that southwest border, it's not just minors and family members trying to come across that border illegally. There is cartels, there's criminals, and now we know that there are known and suspected terrorists coming across that border. So the incident that you reference is that CBP or Border Patrol caught 2 Yemeni nationals that were on a FBI terror watch list. So these are known or suspected terrorists that are trying to come into the country, and they did that in the last 2 months. Why CBP decided to pull that press release down, I think, is very interesting. I think they should be celebrating this type of work. This is great work that law enforcement is doing, but it just underscores the fact that this is a very dangerous border and that we need Border Patrol officers on the line doing their job.
Yeah, so it's not just illegals, it's not just COVID-19, but now it's terrorists as well. Chad Wolf, thanks very much for getting it out there and for your hard work during the administration of President Trump.